Hey YouTube, so I'm obviously not surrounded by the beautiful Adirondack wilderness right now. My father used to always say that his idea of camping was a Marriott Marquis hotel with an indoor pool. Well, Dad, I am at your campground. Camping in a hotel room is definitely not my bag. I sincerely hope that my next video I am back outside and back in a place that has a little more scenery than this very yellowy background with my very yellowy looking skin and this very poor lighting on my very poor video equipment, aka an iPhone, an old iPhone, a very old iPhone, which makes it like what, I don't know, a year and a half. Anyhow, so my day job unfortunately doesn't allow me to constantly be in the woods doing what I love most, but a day job is a day job, and sometimes we have to do one to enjoy the other. One of the ways I pass my time when I'm sitting in a hotel room instead of in the woods is to think about where that next trip is going to be. Do I want to do a day hike? Am I going to be looking at an overnight camping trip, a canoe camping trip, maybe just a day paddle somewhere in a kayak? So these are the kind of hours that I like to spend figuring out where I'm going, how I'm going to get there, who's going to come with me, and do my general trip planning. One of the reasons I wanted to make this channel was because in those experiences, what I found is it's really difficult to find one place where you can get most of that information. I found a few resources in the internet, a couple of different places. I start typically with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, DEC website. I'll put the link to that and all of the other ones that I mentioned in the description below. The DEC site's nice. It gives you a general idea of all of the Adirondack wilderness, wild forest designations, and sort of a description of the trails that are there, the different things there are to see and do. Gives you the rules that you need to follow while you're there. The main problem with the DEC site is it's a government-run site, so it has its specific purpose, but it's not really designated to give you a full comprehensive idea or even to tailor that or customize that based on your own personal fitness level or enjoyment level or just general, what do I want to do in the Adirondacks. The site's nice because if you identify where you want to go, the general vicinity, then you can zero it in on what specific part of the Adirondacks, and then you can zero it in a little farther to get yourself an idea of within that given area, what is it that I can see, how do I get there. Rough mileages and distances are available in some places. You can kind of check out the unit management plans that talk about the different campsites that might be available. Whether you can do certain activities in some areas and not in others. You'll learn that a wilderness classification is different from a primitive area, which is different from a wild forest. So there are some things to learn about the Adirondacks in general prior to coming up, and that's a good site to do that at. So when I want to look at, once I have that spot, I know roughly what I'm going to do and where I want to go to do it, then I try to zero in on getting some various opinions from people who've done it, people who've been there and not just read about it, so that I can see, all right, what sort of travel time, what sort of trail difficulty, how much elevation gain, how long I'm going to be paddling. Depending on the activity, you can get a lot of different answers from a lot of different people. Central New York Hiking, CNY Hiking, is a great website. They have hit so many different places in the Adirondacks, done a lot of different activities, and they do a really nice job with pictures, sometimes videos, general descriptions of, if it's the Siamese Ponds Wilderness, the different attractions that are there, how long it takes to get there, what the distances are, and a really good description overall of each individual hike and or paddle and or snowshoe, whatever you're going to do. Great resource. Again, I'll put that in the link in the again, I'll put that in the description below so that you can click on there and take a look at what they have to offer. Another great site that I go to on a regular basis, typically for maps, sometimes for some of his great photos, is AndyArthur.org. AndyArthur.org site really does a nice job of showing specifically the topo maps of the area, campsite locations. Sometimes he has campsites there that are still perfectly legal, but not necessarily DEC designated sites. A very good thorough description of what you can expect when you get there. I try to never go into any, even if it's just a day hike, I always, always, always try to bring a map with me. And Andy Arthur's maps are some that I've used pretty regularly off of the internet. So check that out. That in combination with CNY hiking. Just anywhere you can find general trip reports. ADK forums is another great one. There are various forums, whether you're interested in the High Peaks region, whether you're interested in paddling, fishing, hunting. There are all these sub-forums in there. Definitely check that out as well. I encourage you to register. You can post your own questions and comments there. And everybody's pretty helpful, and you get a lot of just general information and very specific information about the area that you plan to go to, and everyone's very willing to help out with suggestions. Be as specific as you can with what you're looking to do, and you'll get very specific answers back. There are a couple of apps that are out there. AllTrails is one. Adirondack Trails is another. Both apps do a little bit different perspective, but essentially the same thing of, it allows you as a user to track your progress on there, comment on the elevation gains, the distances, the timing, and just general descriptions if you feel like it, of what those trails are. So those are very helpful for getting some of that additional perspective on what you're kind of in for before you get out there. What I plan to do with this channel is try to give sort of an everyday guy's perspective on what a given trail might be. Often hiking with my family. I may be hiking with some friends, various experience levels. Some I'm huffing and puffing trying to keep up on the trail to stay with them because they're basically mountain goats. And others that have never been or are very inexperienced hikers that I want to make sure that I'm not getting other people into a tough situation. So what I hope is that if you'll comment below, that we can have some discussion and give other people some ideas and really have a nice resource area for hiking in the Adirondacks. So whether it's a day trip, whether it's an overnighter, a paddling trip, whatever it is, comment below, ask your questions, let's get some discussion going and see what other people are doing and how they're doing it. I have run into some situations where someone else's easy hike was a pretty miserable day for me. And I hope that we can sort of give some realistic and multiple perspectives on a lot of the places people like to go in the Adirondacks. So if you like the video, please click like, subscribe below if you haven't already. We'll keep the content coming, we'll keep the discussions going, and I hope that we can all continue our journeys in the Adirondacks.